and welcome to a special episode of BTV6's news program. I am here with Kristen Stewart, and she has founded the Up to Us campaign to raise awareness amongst college students about the national debt, which is currently over $23 trillion and rising by the second. So, Kristen, could you tell us how you're feeling today?
Just in general, I'm feeling pretty good. Yeah, I'm feeling good. Today was beautiful, 55 degrees outside, sunny. So very good start to our day.
Amazing weather to be talking about the national debt, I imagine.
Yes.
So, Kristen, your Up to Us campaign. What was sort of your inspiration to start it? Like, when did you first become aware of the national debt crisis?
So it was actually my freshman year of college. So right now I'm a junior, so it's been a little bit. Someone else was actually running this program on campus, and was like, wow, I had no idea, pretty much. I had no idea how it affected me. So I got kind of involved in a base level with that, and then this year and the year prior to this, I actually ran the campaign myself. So I've been the team lead for the past 2 years, so that's kind of where it came from. I realized that the issue does affect college students on a very personal level, and it's not some big, scary, meaningless number. And I wanted to have other students pretty much get that same education and experience that I did.
Okay. Now, as this is about getting college students aware and also active in figuring out ways in which we can, I suppose, mitigate the debt, how is the Up to Us campaign and you doing that here at Binghamton University, which is a school where, we are trying hard to get people more politically aware of what they
So that's what I'm doing for the campaign,
Yes.
pretty much? Okay, so, my big focus of this campaign really is the educational component of it. My very first question I ask absolutely anyone is, do you know what the national debt is right now? I've got answers that were low as 1 million. I've got answers that were as high as 50 trillion. So you definitely the education component and getting people to know the facts of the case are very important to me. In specifics to what I'm doing on campus, it really ranges. So it'll be from tabling activities where I kind of do more educational components. I know I partner with other clubs and campuses. So Saturday? We partnered with CIW Council to do Casino in the Woods, and it was since it's about money, legal casino, we incorporate money that way. So it's pretty much my goal to try and get into every single avenue of the 14,000 or 17,000 with the graduate student population, and just kind of share those facts between prizes and giveaways and raffles to kind of make students want to come in, and then once they are in, lock them in with why it matters to them.
Okay, perfect. Now, this is an issue that we've discussed. To many seems like this very pie in the sky, very politically charged. You need a complicated degree and work in the government to understand. But why is it crucial for us as undergrads and even our grad viewers? Why is it important for us to care about this issue?
Yeah, so the biggest thing, first one, major point is that it is Up to Us completely nonpartisan. It's actually a national. It's the only national college-based initiative that does this. So I'm one of 140 different college campuses who are actually all doing this in their individual respective areas. And it is completely nonpartisan in the sense that it doesn't matter what party line you stand for, what you believe in, what your values are. It affects all of it. So, for example, personally, I'm very into climate change and education. The national debt, when that rising, is going to affect that outlook. But let's say, all you really care about is graduating college. You care about getting a job after that. By 2048, the national starting income is going to decrease by about $16,000 for the average 4-person family. So something like that, you don't even have to be involved in politics for that to directly affect you. So my biggest thing is that it's not some outreach high-based concept. It's something that literally impacts every single avenue of your life. And the economic opportunity that's going to exist, your student loan debt, literally anything that you have, that you want, that you see a governmental program has a say in, the national debt affects it. So just pretty much to have students understand that this issue impacts them, and that they have political power and that they can use it by joining the movement. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm so glad that you mentioned both student debt and climate change. Both are things that are very near and dear to mind.
Yes.
And heart.
Me too, personally.
Especially, because climate change is sort of one of the, for lack of a better term, one of the sexier issues that people can care about. And it's very important that we're linking the student debt to something like climate change. But I want to know, how do you see the national debt impacting climate change in the future? especially as so many of our politicians don't even believe the science? And how will that impact?
Yeah, I mean, so something with that, it also really depends on what the certain politician or person is advocating for and determining, how that's going to directly play into it. Overall, kind of as much future forward as I feel like I can say, is that when it comes down to it, any program that they're going to recommend, so if they're going to, a politician's going to go and they're going to give their political platform, to have the money to do that program, the national debt is going to affect how much money can be allocated there. So something with like climate change, especially, with how urgent the matter is coming when it comes to emergencies and things like that, whether that be, a weather emergency, a different kind of emergency, you're going to need that national debt to be lower. And we are not advocating for it to be zero. I think a big component of some people say a solution is, actually investing more money to get a bigger term out in the end. So it's not the idea of eliminating the debt to zero. It's more the idea of lowering the debt, because it's just the way it's rising, how fast it's rising is just so unsustainable, and will again impact those things like climate change.
Yes, and before we came on air, I even looked up the national debt, and it is rising by thousands every second.
Yes.
And I imagine millions by the hour,
Yeah.
the hours out. And one of the big questions that I had when I saw this is how who is doing this?
Mm-hmm.
How are they doing this? Why don't they stop?
Yeah. Well, so a really big problem with that is actually when you look at the specifics of what the money we're spending on, why it's rising so fast. Once again, I know I keep mentioning 2048, but another thing by 2048 is by 2040, the interest on the national debt is actually going to be the biggest category of the national debt. So the reason it's rising so fast is that every year we have to pay off that interest on how big the number is, which when you see 23.3 trillion is obviously a huge number, that interest, is we're spending all of that money towards just interest on it. So you're not actually lowering that number at all, or if you are, you're lowering it very, very, minuscule. So I think the problem is that that's all the money that we're using is being focused on the interest. It being literally, that's bigger than education, that's bigger than defense, that's bigger than Medicare, Medicaid, bigger than all the issues that we care about. So the interest isn't something anyone cares about. It's just a number that we have to pay because we're borrowing way more than we're actually paying back.
And would you say that if we keep letting this go unchecked, that's going to take away from the programs that we need, like Medicare, Medicaid?
100%. I do firmly believe that. It's also by 2050, I believe, so actually the biggest, little fact first, the biggest, who the national debt is owed to is actually the most to the American people. So every taxpayer, I believe roughly, the numbers again are rising so fast it's going to change, but roughly it's about $72,000 are owed to each American taxpayer. So something like that, it's like all the money, like when it comes to, rising so fast like that, you have to, get all those things in check to be able to move forward and to be able to have those funding to go to those other programs without being cut, because the money has to come from somewhere.
Because you said that figure $72,000. That is not an insignificant amount to anyone.
No, absolutely not.
I know that if people from my hometown is about reimbursed, that amount of their lives would change.
Yeah.
So we really, as students, because we'll be inheriting this, and we will have these $72,000 taken from us when we fully enter the workforce. I know some students are already in the workforce.
Yeah, and then again, back to that 16,000 number, by the 2048 comes, we're all going to be in jobs, and to have that 4-person income being lowered by $16,000, that's a very, very substantial amount of money. It's not like $5 being thrown around. I know if I was writing a check for $16,000, I'd be very, very happy about it. So it's going to impact us. It's going to be our generation where it falls on, so that's why, that's really what the Up to Us mission is. It's we understand that our generation is going to be the one that's going to be impacted, so it's going to be our generation that essentially makes a change.
Okay. Now, the Up to Us campaign, that is all students.
Mm-hmm.
That is all people of this generation. And you had told us that you had gone to a conference earlier.
Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit more about that conference in beautiful California?
Yes, so actually just happened this past weekend. I got back, 24 hours ago. I was in a different state across the country. So it was held in Oakland, California, to have the Net Impact Hub. So what Up to Us is, it's a small component of Net Impact. It's a larger corporation where they focus on things like, food insecurity, racial equity, climate change. So Up to Us is a small section of that. And in California, what I think is really cool about it, as it's not just something where we get educated on the national debt. So it's all the team leaders come and they go to this conference. It's something where it is a leadership-based conference, so it's like, yes, we're going to focus on the national debt, but how do you improve like myself as a team leader so I can, come back to this Binghamton campus and then promote that better. So we did things like, finding out your core values, what really do you care about no matter how you can present this issue. We also did it's called the National Debt Forum. So it's where they have 3 different solutions, and they all have their pros and cons. And in a group of 10, we have a forum. We discuss the pros, cons, how each option, which one's maybe the most practical to implement, what probably could happen, what probably couldn't happen. It's actually something I'm going to do on Binghamton's campus in a couple weeks. So it was really just a great program that helped me in my leadership, but also helped make me more educated on national debt.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love when people who are leaders in these fields always go out and get more educated on the matter, because that helps really everyone when our leaders are educated.
Yeah, and that's just one more thing that's also really cool about the program I was about to do is that it came with no financial barriers to it. So up to us and Net Impact, the bigger parent company, had, I didn't have to worry about my flight, where I stayed, food, transportation on the ground, which I think is really, really important because sometimes in the things that we do, you're limited on your financial needs, on what opportunities you can and can't participate in. So what I think is so cool about this too is it's like, yeah, you're educating about the national debt awareness for that, but you can do it in a way where you're not worried about the money. You're worried about the cause and the thing that you are, advocating for.
Yeah, I think that's very important and crucial, especially for our viewers who might be worried, it's another club and you have to travel for it, but I can't afford that.
Yeah.
And it's good that they are really making this accessible to all people, because as we've been discussing, this is an everyone issue.
Yes, very much so.
And as this is an everyone issue, it's sort of disheartening to know that there's a lot of people who just don't know and don't care because they don't see that this is something that can be solved. Mm-hmm. And I know that you said that you don't see it as something that's going to go all the way down to 0.
Yes.
But just making a dent in it and making the effort. And I just want to know sort of what are your ideas for our country's financial future and how maybe someone from more lower in the social echelon to someone who's the president, what they can do sort of to mitigate this stuff.
Yeah, so one thing I do want to just say is that up to us is a big thing, is that it is nonpartisan, so I don't want to advocate for a specific solution. I don't want to put my own views into the mix. But that's why what's really, really cool when I have that forum later in the semester is it gives the ability to talk about 3 different solutions to the debt, and kind of see how, where you fall on that, compromise a mix of 1, 2, or the 3. What is important that I do want to implement or emphasize is that it doesn't matter, how you said, either the lower to the higher. What everyone can do, because it will, again, affect you all, is one thing that we have an Up to Us pledge. So over 100,000 people have actually already signed the pledge already. And all it really says is, hi, I'm a college student, I care about the national debt, because our big goal is to raise awareness. So policymakers, on the local and the state and the national level can take all those numbers. So last year, for example, I got roughly 997 people on this campus I got to sign the pledge. This year we're aiming for 1,000, but it's that number they can, take on that bigger national and be like, look how many people, even a small, one school, 14,000 undergrad, care about something like the national debt. So one thing I do recommend the pledge. In the local Binghamton community, I'm going to have multiple more events to come. So I know one, I already have it planned for the city councilman, Giovanni Scaringi is going to come. He's going to speak. We're going to have free food, prizes, stuff like that to encourage people to come. But it pretty much is just realizing the issue, talking about it, with your family at the dinner table, with your friends in class, because it really is that spread of knowledge, that spread of information, going to make people realize they need to care about it. And then once you have people who care, can't really stop.
I think that's great because this is a nonpartisan issue. And there's such a stigma around talking around the dinner table about issues like this. Because you don't want to start an argument. So I think it's great that this is something tangible that we can discuss. Mm-hmm. We can talk to our parents. We can talk to our siblings. We can talk to our friends about it, and cross party lines.
Yeah.
Especially, I was so glad that you said, correct me if I'm wrong, but it doesn't matter who, but as long as we get awareness out there.
That is the biggest thing I want to say, is that it's that's why I didn't want to put my own spin on it, because I don't personally, I care what I think, but everyone doesn't have to care what I think. So the idea is, I don't care what thought you have, I don't care what solution you want to implement. The idea is that you are now educated on an issue that you weren't educated about prior, and you want to do something to fix it.
And, Outside of signing this pledge, what are some other ways that students here can get involved in the UPS?
Yeah, so I mean, the first thing I would do is definitely just, go and get educated. I think the more you know, the more you can, give to the conversation. If that's not something you want to do in your own time, again, kind of attending those events the priority of it is to educate you more on the issue itself, because that is up to us. That's what we're trying to do, is raise awareness about national debt, fiscal policy, and to get people to realize that it's something that's not, it's not this far out, scary high in the, sky, as you mentioned before, topic. It's something that's going to affect them now. So I think definitely a Binghamton student, all of my events are mainly on Binghamton's campus. Since I'm now an off-campus student, I've, incorporated a little bit more off-campus. I did one at Twin River Commons, where I personally live, looking at doing something at the Big Devils hockey game. So I'm really trying to get that, broad community base this year. So it doesn't matter where you are, off campus, on campus, trying to make that convenient and accessible to you wherever you are. So I would just say, follow the Instagram at Bing Up to Us, and you'll keep updated on everything.
That's excellent. I'm so glad that you're also getting out more into the community, especially because teenagers today are getting more and more socially conscious, but as many of these great teen activists that we've been seeing, I haven't heard a single one talk about the national debt.
Exactly.
So,
yes,
this is more of a personal thing for me, because I really believe that teen activism is such a crucial part of our global discourse. Do you have any plans to maybe extend into the Binghamton public school system?
I mean, honestly, as of right now, it wasn't something that I completely thought of, but I think it is a really good idea, especially somewhere like Binghamton, where I feel like the college population, the college itself, is so vital to the Binghamton community. I think it's definitely something I can look forward, going forward, because it's also something where, we shouldn't have to wait until, like right now, I'm 20 years old. I shouldn't have to wait until I'm 19 years old to realize the national debt's going to affect me. High school students, it's going to affect them, if not more than me, because, if it just keeps going higher, the younger the generation is going to continue to get affected. So I think that's a really good next step.
Okay. Do you have any final messages that you want to get out to the people? Anything that needs to be said?
I think the biggest thing is really just that you have political power and you have a political voice. So, for example, I partner with another organization called Our Climate, and we actually spoke to both the local senator and the local assemblywoman. So it's the fact that it's not some scary big concept. You can take your political power as a Binghamton student, as a citizen, as whatever you identify yourself as, and you can use that for the greater good, whether that be the national debt, whether it be the climate change. Realize whatever you are advocating for, this is something that's going to affect it. So, kind of thinking about that financially tied to that scenario, something that's going to be really important moving forward.
Well, thank you for coming in and talking to us about this.
Thank you for having me. I'm very honored.
I hope that in the future we can have more conversations, not just with you, but with all these other organizations that you mentioned.
Yeah, and also, I am one of 3. There's 2 members on my team as well, so if you are willing to have me again, I will definitely bring them by.
We are willing to have the whole gang over.
Okay, I will definitely let them know. Thank you.
And that is a wrap on this special episode of Binghamton TV Channel 6 News. Have a great evening, and we'll see you next time.